Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. The online grocery pickup department at a local Walmart becomes the stage for a bizarre encounter when a customer's furious reaction to a perceived snub spirals into a scathing online review. Our OP, a conscientious employee, finds herself at the center of a storm after failing to acknowledge a customer's 3-year-old daughter. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. A Karen tried to get me fired today. I work in the online grocery pickup department at my local Walmart. This black car with tinted windows pulls up for an order. I go up to the car and get the woman's name, thinking nothing of it. I get her order ready, but then I get stopped by one of my coworkers. My coworker then says to me, "Let me take out the order because that lady is mad as hell at you." Apparently, this woman was screaming about how she wanted me to be fired because I didn't say hello to her 3-year-old daughter. I had no clue she even had a kid in the car. As I said before, the car had tinted windows, so I couldn't see into it. If the kid actually did say hello, I definitely didn't hear it. The woman gets her order and leaves. I didn't think much of the event until my boss confronted me about a very long, nasty review that was written on me. To quote some of the review, "I just dealt with the rudest person in existence named OP today at Walmart. OP is the rudest and most disgusting person I've ever met. I can't believe Walmart would hire someone like her. My precious little angel was being friendly by saying hello to OP, but that rude BOP didn't even bat an eye at my beautiful daughter. How can someone be so heartless to an adorable 3-year-old girl? I'm glad that OP has an appearance that shows what an ugly person she truly is. I hope the supervisors see my review and fire that nasty, ugly, rude bee named my name. She's ruining Walmart's image by her being employed there. I'm appalled that Walmart would hire the rudest person alive for customer service and hope they realize that firing her is the best option." I freaked out when my boss confronted me about the review. I was terrified that I was going to lose my job. Thankfully, my boss took my side when I explained to her that I had no idea this woman even had a kid with her because I never heard or saw a kid. I will admit I'm not the most friendly person out there. I'm very introverted and my anxiety makes it harder to interact with people, but I try my absolute best to be as friendly as possible at work. I think I'm doing a pretty decent job. I've dispensed to other people who had kids who said hello to me, and I've always said hello back with a smile. I would have done the same to this woman's daughter if I'd known she was there. Thankfully, my boss told me not to worry about this bad review, so I'm glad she's not mad at me. I just hope that nobody with more authority than her gets mad at me about it. Edit. This insane woman posted the exact same nasty review about me 5 times, and it's caused our satisfaction rating to plummet. Before this crazy lady showed up, it was in the high 90s. Now it's around 70%. My bosses are now making an effort to get rid of the review because they believe it's unfair and they want the satisfaction rating to get back to where it was. And our second story. You want a trophy for that? This happened to one of my cousins. Let's call him Tim for the sake of the story, which he did to his mom. Tim's mom is a bit of an attention seeker and always wanted to get validation over every single thing she does, and always moaning and complaining that she doesn't get appreciated enough in the house for all the things she does for the family, even though some of the things she does is just basic common sense to do. So one day, Tim, after another round of annoying complaints and moans from his mother, sarcastically asked her, "Wow, amazing, you did a great job. You want a trophy for that?" His mom, angered by his sarcasm, blurted out, "Yes, maybe I deserve a trophy for everything I've done in this bloody house." Tim went to one of those warehouse stores that sells a whole bunch of knickknacks and found a huge box of tiny toy plastic trophies that was sold at a bargain price. He bought the whole box and monitored his mom. It started off with things like when she did the laundry or cooked dinner or cleaned the house. He'd give her a trophy and made a huge fanfare about it, with celebratory music in the background and him giving her the cringiest and most exaggerated congrats to her on a job well done. Then it moved on to more things like if she sneezed or coughed or went to the toilet or took a bath, or even when she ate or drank anything. Every single mundane thing she did, he would give her a trophy with all the works, and even got to the point where he would spring into her room to give her a trophy just for waking up in the morning to successfully turn off the alarm. Tim carried on for almost 2 weeks until her dresser was completely filled with his tiny trophies, and his mom's face looked like she was about to explode and rain the fear of God on him seeing those annoying trophies. Luckily for him, Tim's mom was reminded by Tim's dad that she was the one who asked for it. He was there when Tim and his mom had that first argument that started all this, and that he was only doing as she asked. She begrudgingly barked at Tim to get rid of all the trophies, though I can't remember what Tim said he did with them. Still didn't really stop her from being an attention seeker, but never dared to call Tim on his bluff again. Mind you, I can imagine that Tim's mom would appreciate the occasional acknowledgement of the work she puts in, even if it's a once-a-year bunch of flowers / box of chocolates on Mother's Day. And our next story. I quit my job. I started my last job in 2017. I was a part-time warehouse worker who over a few years was promoted into a transport admin / management role. Myself and another colleague ran our department between us, only really reporting to our then line manager if we needed support with any part of our job or time off, etc. But other than that, he trusted us completely to run things. It wasn't without its stressful days, but we had a really good thing going. Then in 2021, the business made some changes, moved our then line manager into different departments, and got a new designated manager just to manage us two in our department. We were naturally quite bitter about it, but nevertheless thought we'd give him a chance. He turned out to be an absolute control freak and a bully. But he was strange. He could be supportive one minute, then a manipulative bully the next. He loved poking fun out of the fact I had a car accident last year. He loved solely targeting me for the bad jobs and loved causing trouble between me and other colleagues. Then in March this year, my girlfriend fell ill whilst pregnant and was forced to give birth to our son 6 weeks prematurely. It was quite an awful, traumatic time, and I ended up having 3 weeks off work. When I returned, I had a mountain of work to catch up on that nobody covered in my absence, followed by me trying to catch up on it, and my manager pulling me away to do other projects for him when his other 2 staff members weren't doing anything, and when my work was late, was forever kicking off at me that I couldn't manage my time properly, etc., etc. Then in May, he made a major mistake and pinned the blame on me for it. It caused issues with me and 2 colleagues I had to work closely with, and I was threatened with disciplinary action. Then I just got thinking to myself, without me running his department, he's nothing. Without me, he wouldn't have a job. Without me, he wouldn't be able to explain what was going on with his department to senior management. How I ran his department for him on behalf of his salary, he takes all the glory and we get all the grief. I had one last run-in with him over this mistake he'd made and handed my formal notice into him the following day. It was funny over those 4 weeks of serving my notice, just watching him slowly take over my responsibilities and struggling with them. Those responsibilities that he often told me, I don't even know what you do during the day. He had to then do the horrible jobs he used to pile on me, and on my final day in June, I told my fellow colleagues that I'll give him 3 months before he either quits or gets fired. Within the first few weeks, the department massively failed their monthly audit, which sparked attention of company directors who were sent in to investigate as this had never happened before. Then, bang on a month later, I was on holiday and had one of the senior managers ringing me and texting me asking for passwords for systems as my line manager had gone on holiday and hadn't organized anything. I ignored him because I didn't work there anymore, and I was on holiday. Then he kept continuing to make mistakes. He hadn't ordered essential items, which caused trouble for the site. He didn't have a clue about the job in question, as I originally was out to prove. Then a month after that, he was suspended from his duties pending further investigation as management finally realized he couldn't do his job in question. Month after that, management claimed he quit with immediate effect. I think he was fired, but either way, my 3 months prediction was right, that he couldn't run that shift without me. It really is petty revenge, quitting a job to prove a point. But it proved the point. Good riddance. I now run my own business, have a much better work-life balance, earning more than I could ever dream of in that place, and life is fantastic. And our last story. My neighbor tries claiming my house. This happened a little bit ago, about a month. and it was a bizarre experience to say the least. I'm 15 and I was playing some video games before passing out. It was about, say, 11 p.m. when I hear the doorbell ring. Out of instinct, I began walking downstairs, but about halfway there, rationality came to mind. Who the F rings the doorbell at 11 p.m.? I silently strode back upstairs and stood in the hall, kind of expecting something bad to happen. An exact minute later, it rings twice. My parents begin to leave their room and give me a quizzical look, and all I had to respond was a shrug. Then he starts banging on the door. My mother jumps at first, bang. My father's eyes widened, but more in confusion than fear. He decided to go downstairs and peep through the view hole. It was our neighbor. My dad hesitantly opened the door, and I could hear my father's voice tremble slightly. "Hey, what do you need?" Next thing I hear is an entire full-blown scream argument from our neighbor, claiming that this household was his and we stole it from him. My father's uneasiness was quickly replaced with annoyance, and he simply shut the door without giving our neighbor the time of day. My dad stepped on the first step going up the stairwell when our neighbor first hit the door. I'm not talking banging with the fist. This man was full body slamming it. My father was stunned for a second, and my neighbor charged the door again. This time we began to hear the splintering of wood. Everyone reacted at once. My father went to brace the door with his body. My mother went to go get the other two kids, and I went for 911. The body slamming ensued for another 5 minutes, and while I was on the phone with 911, it stopped. I thought it was over, and I was relieved, but I still stuck on the phone. I go peek out the front window of my house, and boy, it was only getting started. Our neighbor took his Jeep Wrangler and simply directed it straight at our house. We had zero clue what he was doing until he hit the gas and we heard the squealing of tires. Then he immediately hit the brakes. He was trying to scare us out of the house. I was still on the phone with 911, and I stepped away from the window to comfort my siblings, crack jokes and such. Eventually, police arrived and arrested him. The next morning, I left for school, still shaken from the night before. I stepped onto our front steps and saw tire marks leading up to our front door. The lunatic actually nearly rammed our door down with his car. I really never want to see this jerk ever again, but he lives directly to my right. F my life. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.